The Glass of Peace, a story about stillness, storms, and seeing what was always within. In a quiet village wrapped in the arms of green mountains, there lived a young man named Ethan. He was 24, not too young to dream, but not yet old enough to understand life's quiet truths. From the outside, he had everything: a roof over his head, food on his table, and the beauty of nature all around him. But on the inside, Ethan was fighting a silent battle. His mind was loud, too loud. Thoughts raced in circles. Memories of mistakes from his past whispered shame. Worries about the future shouted fear. Even in the silence of the night, his mind refused to rest. It was like a storm that never ended, loud, restless, unrelenting. He couldn't sleep. He couldn't concentrate. And slowly, the spark in his eyes dimmed. His laughter faded. Even the morning sun rising over the mountains no longer stirred joy in him. Each day felt like walking through fog, awake, but not really living. One afternoon, while walking through the market with his head down, Ethan overheard two travelers talking. "Have you heard of the wise old man in the hills?" one asked. "They say he used to be a great psychologist in the city, helped so many people. Now he lives alone in a small village up north." The other nodded. "They say he teaches people how to find peace, real peace, the kind that doesn't come from money or success, but from inside." Something flickered in Ethan's heart, a hope he hadn't felt in years. Could this old man truly help? Could peace really be found? That night, Ethan packed a small bag. No long goodbyes, just quiet footsteps as he left his home behind and began his journey to the hills. The path was not easy. Days of walking through winding roads, thick forests, and cold winds tested his body. But his heart was curious, and that was enough to keep him moving. Finally, on the morning of the 5th day, Ethan reached the quiet village nestled in the hills. It was peaceful. Birds chirped softly, leaves danced in the breeze, and at the center of it all stood a small wooden house, partially hidden by vines and wildflowers. On the porch sat the old man. He had a long white beard, eyes closed in meditation, and a stillness about him that felt ancient. Ethan approached, nervous but hopeful. In a soft, trembling voice, he said, "Sir, my mind is a mess. I can't sleep. I can't smile. I feel like I'm drowning in thoughts. I don't know how to find peace. Can you help me?" The old man opened his eyes slowly. He looked at Ethan, not with judgment, but with deep kindness. The kind that made Ethan want to cry for no reason at all. "You're not alone," the old man said gently. "We all carry storms inside us. But yes, I will help you. First, a small task." He led Ethan to the back of the house and filled a glass with water to the very brim. Not a drop more could fit. "Take this glass," he said, placing it carefully into Ethan's hands. "Walk from here to the far edge of the village and return. But be careful. Do not spill even a single drop." Ethan stared at the glass, confused. What did this have to do with peace? But he nodded. "I'll try." And so Ethan walked. The village path was narrow and full of life. Children laughed and ran past him. Dogs barked. Birds sang. A woman called out to her friend from across the street. But Ethan didn't see or hear any of it. His eyes were locked on the water. Every step was slow, every breath measured. His hands trembled slightly, but his focus was sharp. With each step, the noise of the world faded, and something inside him, something that had been loud for years, began to quiet. By the time he returned to the old man, the water was untouched. "I did it," he said, a hint of pride in his voice. Not a single drop spilled. The old man smiled. "Well done," he said. "Now tell me, on your walk, did you see the children playing? Did you hear the dogs barking or the birds singing?" Ethan blinked. "No, I didn't notice any of that." The old man's eyes twinkled. "Exactly. Your mind was in one place, the water. You weren't thinking about yesterday's pain or tomorrow's fear. You were fully here. This is peace." Ethan stared at the old man, breath catching in his throat. All these years, he had been searching outside for silence, for healing, for stillness. But what he truly needed was presence. "You see," the old man continued, "your mind isn't your enemy. It only becomes wild when you let it live in the past or the future. But in this very moment, it can be calm, just like you were with the glass. Ethan looked down at the water again, still, clear, and undisturbed that evening. As the sun sank behind the hills, Ethan sat quietly with the old man. No more questions, no more words, just a shared silence that felt like a warm blanket. He finally understood. Peace isn't something we find. It's something we return to. It had always been there, under the noise, behind the worry, waiting patiently. When the time came, Ethan stood and bowed deeply. "Thank you," he said, voice filled with something deeper than gratitude. "I came here broken, but I'm leaving whole." The old man smiled. "Remember, my boy, when the storm rises again, as it will, just return to the glass." Ethan walked back down the mountain path under a sky full of stars. The world was the same, but he wasn't.